जी मैम
welcome all
नमस्कार।
of you. जी नमस्ते. I welcome all of you. Yeah. The Department of Science. This orientation camp.
Ma'am, around 108.
Then there's a we'll have to bear with each other. How many students are there who have joined this orientation camp?
Ma'am, around 100 students are there. More than 100 students.
More than 100 students are there. Okay. And then the students, I would just like to ask the students the kind of lectures to which they have been exposed so far. So maybe I would like to hear from the students the kind of lectures and the topics to which they have been exposed and oriented so far, so that I can pick up the thread from there and then begin.
Okay. Ma'am, can I please introduce you a bit to our students?
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Thank you, ma'am. So good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the session. Our speaker for this session is Professor Neena Kohli, ma'am. Ma'am is a professor associated with the Department of Psychology at the prestigious University of Allahabad. She has over 15 publications to her credit. Her humble signature mix of rare intellect, serene demeanor, relatability, perseverance, and French charm makes her sought after and admired. So let's begin. Ma'am, now you can continue.
Okay, thank you. May I know your good self? Because how would I thank you otherwise?
Ma'am, Pavika.
Pavika. Okay, thank you, Pavika. I hope I'm able to come up to the expectations of the students. And since this is an orientation camp for the students and they have been exposed to these kind of lectures, I would like to hear from the students the kind of lectures or the topics to which they have been exposed so far, or they have been oriented so far, and they have some understanding of what has been happening so far. That will pick the thread and move ahead. So anybody,
Any of you?
any of you, yeah. Any of you can take the lead and just tell me. Nobody wants to?
Anyone? If you want to speak, you can.
Yes. In my lecture, they will get an opportunity to speak also. So it will be interactive also. But in case they want to say something, in case they remember something of the lectures which have been going on, if this morning they had a lecture or last Saturday they had a lecture, and if they remember something of it, just to be comfortable. They are comfortable and I'm also comfortable. Yeah.
For the people who are commenting in chats, please turn your mics and then speak.
Yes. I'm not interested in the chat so far.
Anyone, please turn on your mic and speak.
Okay, anyway, even if it doesn't matter, even if they are not, because something is there in the chat which I could see, and there was something on personality development and anger management. There was the two things which I was reading just there. So somebody has joined the audio conference, those kinds of things. Now today we are going to talk about stress. We are going to talk about this concept of stress, and we'll try to understand stress and how one can cope with it. See, this is an online program, and in the online program, these lectures, they also carry their own baggage of stressors. It is not that you are free without stress, but for students who are sitting way back there in their homes or maybe somewhere else, they are not physically, I think they're not physically there in the campus, isn't it, Pavika? They are still at home. Or they
Yes,
have joined
ma'am.
there. Okay, so
No, ma'am, no
physically
one is there in the campus.
they are not in the campus. So this is an online orientation program, and sooner when things they get better, so then we can hope that we will get a chance to meet the students individually and maybe address certain issues. This is stress, the concept of stress, or stress for that matter. It is a very, very old concept, and it is derived from the word stringere. Stringere is Latin word, it means some kind of a tightening. It is there. Then in physics, when we talk of load, there also certain kind of stress is there. If we talk of friction, then we talk of some kind of pressure. So there are various terms which can be used for this word stress. People, they refer to as tension, as pressure, as some kind of a strain, something which is uncomfortable, something which does not appeal, which taxes their resources. So there are various terms which are associated, synonyms for stress. If we put it simply, the stress actually, if you take it in terms of a demand and a supply situation, then you see that if the demand is and the supply is less, then the discrepancy increases. Once the discrepancy increases, it leads to some kind of a stress situation. Because suppose we have to deliver 50,000 units of some product, and in my assembly line, I find that I only have 20,000 units ready. What do I do with the rest 30,000? I know that I'm not in a position to do that by tomorrow, but the order says that there's a penalty clause and you have to submit those units by tomorrow. So that may induce some kind of stress, that may induce that one would leave their night sleep, you would not be ready, you would not be prepared. So what are the resources which you have at hand? Those resources which you have at hand and your competencies, and what is there out which is required from you. So there are certain costs also which are associated with stress. This term, this stress concept, it has been widely researched. It's a very, very widely researched concept, but the booming, buzzing confusion is there in this particular concept of stress. And it is totally misunderstood so far also. Though a lot of work goes on in stress. And everybody, people, they use this term, they just throw this word around without understanding what it is and what stress is. So today we will try to understand what stress is and what are the things which are associated with stress, how can one cope with this particular concept, and there will be individual ways of coping with this particular concept. Okay, so briefly I'll be telling you about stress, and then I will be sharing the material also. And we all experience stress in our lives. It is not that we don't experience stress. We all experience stress. Then when they say that when people say that they are under a lot of stress, then that means that something is there which is troubling them, under this. So this to months of, and they feel tense and uncomfortable. When you say that I'm a lot of stress, what does that mean? It means that I'm not able to deal with the situation. I find myself uncomfortable. I feel that I'm not prepared to deal with that particular situation. Now, what is stress? If you talk of stress, then it can be, there are three terms that come in this concept of stress. One is, of course, stress. The other is strain. And the third one is a stressor. There may be a stressor. When you see somebody and you don't like that person, for that matter, you feel, you feel that you experience stress. So that stressor, that trigger may be there. We have all talked of, and we all know that if you have a stack of hay and is dry, a matchbox, maybe a lighter, a matchbox, or a single match will be enough for it to catch fire. So that trigger is there. And when we talk of stressors, it is a trigger. Now, with the changing weather, we are experiencing this change in weather. This can be a trigger for somebody. Some people, they feel they feel they are it's very cold. For some people, they feel no, it is not at all cold. With cold, we find that we have changes take place in our body. We have physiological changes. We have psychological changes. There are certain days which we call the gloomy days. When the sunshine is not there, then there's a pall of gloom. You feel that the days it's very depressing. The environment is not there. And you feel that a lot of sunshine is required. So sunshine gives you that kind of a thing. So the weather also it is related to the kind of stress which one experiences. I will just narrate an incident. Somebody, a father and a son, which is a real, and they were flying from London to India, and the father was very excited because he was coming back to India to his home place. Son was born in London, so he used to just come on and off. The father was telling the son that, look, can you see the sunshine? Oh my God, the sunshine is here. How we missed it. So the son said that you may be very happy with the sunshine, but I've always seen the grays, because London hardly has sunshine, and it has in certain parts of the year. There's no sunshine at all. This is where I have also stayed there quite some time. You just wait for it. So he said, I'm very happy, I'm very okay, and I'm okay with the grays. Why do you, for you, sunshine may be important, but for me, the gray is okay because I have exposure to that. So, what kind of exposure do we have? If somebody comes, a person who comes from USA, this time to your house, then that person may not even wear a pullover or a cardigan or a sweatshirt. They may just be there in their t-shirts, and you would be all wrapped up because there's a difference. The temperature tolerance is difference. So our stress tolerance limits, they are also different. If somebody gets an injection from a compounder, then that person will cry his heart out, and people will be there just to pacify him with the injection. But for others, the injection is just a matter because they say that I have to take it daily. So they don't feel anything about it. So it depends the kind of stress level we have, the tolerance which we have for this particular notion. Now I said that stressors are there. There can be various kinds of stressors, psychological stressors, physical stressors, and the outcome of stress would be strain, which is the outcome. That outcome may be in terms of emotional exhaustion. That outcome may be in terms of a depleted source of energy. That outcome can be in terms of fatigue. It can be in terms of feeling low. It can be in terms of spending your time in bed. It can be in terms of not going out. It can be in terms of just keeping to yourself, withdrawal. So there are various outcomes, and those we refer to as strain. And that strain can again be a cause of stress. So is when the strain is there, then that strain can take you to another situation, which will be your situation of stress. So this is what we said. And then if you talk of it, then the third approach which talks of stress, it can be a transaction. Stress can be a stimulus, stress can be a response, and stress, it can be a transaction. The stress SR connection, which is the stress and the response connection. What happens between the two? If you want to stress to be defined, then I would just read out that it can be defined as a circumstance in which transactions lead a person, they lead a person to perceive a discrepancy. So the perception of discrepancy is very important. Transactions, they lead one to perceive a discrepancy between the physical or psychological elements of a situation and the resources at his or her disposal, which can be psychological, social, and physical. So, as I said earlier, that you have to perceive something which is threatening, which is something which is there. If that is not there, then you will not perceive it. Now, how do I appraise an event? When an event is there, when an event happens, that event, you make some kind of an appraisal. You try to find. Appraisal can be of three types. You have a primary appraisal. You say that, okay, now you look at the situation. You say, well, this is threatening. I need to be prepared. I need to make a plan. I need to deal with it. I'm going to accept it. Or you can say that it is benign. It does not challenge me. So it is not. Once you have made that appraisal, then you go in and you go for this. This is a primary appraisal. then what we do is we want to deal with it. So if we want to deal with it, we want to see what kind of options do we have, what are the options available for us, and then we try to see what all is. If I need 100 rupees and if I have 90 rupees with me, then when I look around and I said, oh well, I'm only short of 10 rupees, and those 10 rupees they can come from many quarters, so I'll be able to manage and deal with the situation. There, the stress experienced or the appraised stress, it will not compared to if I need 100 rupees and I just have 10 rupees with me and I have to make arrangement for 90 rupees. Then in that situation, stress would be more. So that is, I evaluate, I look at the options which are there. I make some kind of a secondary appraisal, how to deal with the situation. Then what I do is, after that, I reappraise the situation again. So the cycle goes on. There's some primary appraisal, there's secondary, and then there is reappraisal. So the cycle, it is like a feedback loop. Then you evaluate the situation. You said, okay, now I can deal with the situation. Now, coming to stress, again, coming to this concept of stress, this can be both physical and psychological. As I said, physical stress, the heat, temperature, crowding, pollution, all these can be physical stresses. But there can be psychological stress also. Psychological, the burden which you have, and the burden which you, that is, there can be an emotional burden which you carry. So it can be various kinds. And also, when we talk of stress, there are certain myths which are associated with this particular concept. First is that stress can only be undesirable. It is not so. Stress is not always undesirable. Stress is not always bad. We have a concept which is called eustress. So eustress is positive stress. And positive stress, when there's a birth of a child, an addition to the family, when you get a good job, when you were selected for this particular program, you are students, and when you got admission, there must have been certain stresses which have accompanied you, but they were all positive, how to do it. And when you get the news, when you see, you feel excited about it. So there is this concept of similarly, situation of hyper stress. Performance will dip. Similarly, if you have very high level of stress, again your performance will dip. So the moderate amount of stress is perfect, and that helps you to cope with the situation. If you say that if you have done everything, your task is over, you have done your homework, and you have an exam tomorrow, so you can always go out, and then take. But if you feel that you have not done anything, I know everything, but you still, heart of heart, you know that you have not done anything, that will lead to you kind of stress. Now, what will be some of the characteristics of a stressful situation? This will be like life transitions. The transitions which you have, passing one life condition, say for example, starting school, then moving to a new community, now you'll be exposed to new, start staying here, they some time management is there, certainly, and ambiguity. You know what to, I mean, the task is not clear, everything is there, it's not well defined. That ambiguity, that is also characteristic of a stressful situation. Then then there is desirability. You know, what kind of low desirability? Some circumstances, they are undesirable for most people. For example, losing one's house in fire. So these are events which are not desirable. Now, many people in COVID-19, they have lost their jobs and they are jobless. So somebody who was a well-paid manager is now literally on the streets because they have been deprived of a good job. So this is something which is undesirable. And then low controllability. Again, in this situation, stress is not controllable. Who wants to leave a job? But what happens is that since the situation has occurred and now people, they're learning to cope with it. They all have their own ways of coping. There are certain theories. Hans Selye, he was a physicist, and he is considered to be the father of stress, stress medicine, stress. He has proposed a model which we call the general adaptation syndrome, or the GAS model. And in this GAS model, he says that first, if you think of an equilibrium or homeostasis, then you find that there's first an alarm state. There are warning signs, there are signals, you respond to that. And then there is a stage of resistance where you want to do that. Suddenly, what happens is that from your stage of alarm state, then that prepares you. You are ready to face that situation. You prepare your defenses, you are all geared up, you know that now you can deal with the situation. But what if you're not able? Then that state of exhaustion sets in. And in that stage of exhaustion, if you think an equilibrium straight line, you dip. It can lead to disease, it can lead to depression, it can lead to anxiety. So when if we, like you said, that one of the emotions which you have had some exposure to was your anger management. Now anger is one emotion which is there in all of us, and it should be. Not that we should be devoid of anger. See, now there's a relationship between personality. Some people, the type C people, they they will never be angry. They will never be angry. They are the persons who are more prone to cancer. They are type C personality. They will be there. But then there are others, like if you've had some exposure, there's a type A personality. That type A personality, so always on the go, always up and about on things. They want perfection. They want to meet deadlines. But type B, there's type B, which is relaxed. They feel that, okay, they're not very competitive. They may be cooperative. They know things will come and they will manage. So you will have a type A personality. You will have a type B personality. You're going to have a type B, C personality. You're going to have a type D personality. Now, type D personality is a depressive personality. All these personalities, they cannot be that you are purely type A or you're purely type B or C. Maybe sometimes it may be a personality characteristic, and it may shift from one end of the continuum to the other. So that may be a possibility which is there. So there's a relationship between personality and stress. There's a relationship between anger. Now, how do you manage your anger? You must have been taught certain ways. You must have been exposed to those ways. Let me know those ways in which you are being exposed. How do you manage anger? I have some responses from the participants. You said that you had a session on anger management. So what were you taught? Anything which you remember for managing anger? If you can just tell me one thing which you were taught to how to manage anger. How would you manage anger? Anyone? Please turn on your mics. Don't write in the chat box. Just turn on your mics. I would like to hear your voices also, your beautiful voices. So just tell me, what is it? Anyone?
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, we were taught that counting till 100 and drinking water when angry is a supposed remedy for anger.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Counting till 100. Huh?
when anger comes, we
Hmm.
can remember our mother or father.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Ma'am, we were said to look in the mirror when angry.
So these are certain tips which are given to you when you are angry. There are certain tips. You can generate your own tips also. It depends on how you want to look at it. Now, the example which somebody says that you remember your mother or father, I got a very important, message the other day. They said that each one of us, we have had rough books whenever we carried our bags to school, we always had a rough book in it, isn't it? Weren't we carrying a rough book? And whatever, and that rough book, it made our classwork, our homework neat. Because whatever we wanted to scribble, we had rough pages. Whenever you solve any equation or you solve any problems, you always do it. You say that this is rough work, and then you strike it out. You do that so that the other end is complete. So our mothers, our parents, they are like rough books. They take all your stresses. They help you to be comfortable. So it is actually they, because of whom you people are able to manage your life so well. And they are the rough books in life. We should remember our rough books all the time. And we should pay respect to our rough books, because of them, our lives, they are organized. We are able to manage our stuff well. We are able to keep our bag clean, isn't it? Neat and clean. And you're able to present your classwork, because whatever rough work you did, that was in some other book, isn't it? So that is, of course, if you look, you say, why am I? What I would like to add is that what makes me angry? If I just put it in terms of stress and say, what makes me angry? Have you ever asked this question to yourself? What makes me angry? What are the things? If you scribble them down, like these are the things which make me angry. And now on, what I'm going to do is I am going to make efforts not to come across such things, or maybe not to let these things enter my life, or maybe not to distract me. So there may be certain things which make you angry. One thing may be that when the light goes off, you get angry, you feel angry, irritated. See, the irritation, anger, they are different things. But still, you can say that you can put them, say, from lowest to highest. Then who makes me angry? If I see that things, they are not kept neatly, I feel angry. If my work is not done properly, I feel angry. If my friends, they do not turn on time, I feel angry. If somebody is not punctual person, I feel angry. So there are certain triggers which are there. Those are the stressors. And those stressors, they make you angry. Can you understand now the concept of stress? And then that anger is your stress. And the outcome is stress. Either you shout, or you withdraw, or you feel that I'm not going to talk to this person anymore, or you feel that, or you say that you commit yourself that next time I'm going to answer back. Maybe you don't want to give an answer that moment. Maybe you just, so there's also a talking cure. If you talk to yourself, if you say that, okay, I'm going to talk to myself and find out, there is always a talking cure. And once you talk to yourself, you find solutions. See, we always do self-talking. We always there, we talk to ourselves. And when we talk to ourselves, how many of you dream? I mean, I don't think so any one of us has never had a dream. We do have dreams, isn't it? And then we know that this is a fantasy world. We know that it is not reality, but still we want to live in our dreams. No, we dream with our eyes open, and we dream with our eyes closed. So what we dream with our eyes open may be different from what we dream when eyes are closed. But we do want to dream. We do want to talk about it. We feel happy about it. You want to live in that moment. What if someone comes and wakes you up? No, you feel very. You say, if someone comes in the morning and tell you this happened, you say, please let me get up in the morning. I'm not comfortable with such things. I would speak about this when I'm a little, I've spent some time after my daily chores and all that, then I will talk about it. So some of the anger management you can do on your own, but some is not within your control. So if things, they are low on controllability, if you are not able to control, then that kind of a situation is different from a situation which is controllable. So either you can exercise primary control, or you can exercise secondary control. Now in primary control, you change the situation. You try to change the situation. And in secondary control, you get yourself changed. So in one case, you're changing the environment, and the other case, the environment, you get changed to the environment. So you adapt. So what can we do? If we cannot make changes, if, for example, you come here to IIT and triple IIT, and maybe it's a sharing room. I don't know what kind of arrangement is there. And you feel that somebody wants the light on and wants to study, and you are the person who doesn't want the light. You only sleep when the light is off. So some kind of a compromise has to be made. Either that person studies and goes off to sleep, or if that person is a late night person, then arrangement can be that he or she just has a lamp, or you put that both of you can have and both of you can study the way you want to. Some adjustment, adaptation, they have to be. If we do not adapt that way, it becomes very, very different. So in all this, in all these kind of stress, and I was talking about the myths which are associated with stress, that first myth which I entered into other things. First myth which I said was that stress is always undesirable. It is not. And people say that stress comes from big things. Again, this is a myth. Misplacing your keys, getting stuck in a traffic jam, misplacing objects. That can also, the daily hassles, that can also cause stress to you. You feel stressed because of that. So then there's a myth that stress phenomenon. It is not so. In East also, it is a phenomena here. We have in this, if you are exposed to this concept of tridosh, there's a tridosh is there. So vat, pit, kaph is there. Then this concept of dukh, which is there, sukh and dukh. So then there are various those kind of sources can be there. So stress is as a phenomenon as the Western as it is of the Eastern world. And stress, if a situation is undesirable, it is not necessarily that it will cause you stress. It is your perception of that situation which will be stressful. So how you look at the situation, that will tell you whether the situation it is stressful or it is not stressful. So it is again how we look at it. That will tell us whether the situation, our perception of the situation will tell us whether it is stressful or not. Now, once there are certain sources of stress throughout life. When we talk, some sources they are within the person. Okay, like illness is one way. Stress arises from within the individual. So if we are ill, if we are not well, that is the source is there. Another source can be in the family. So there's an important role of family. A family, there are certain sources like family, they provide great comfort, but they can be sources of tension and conflict. There can be interpersonal discord. There can be financial problems. So these sources can be in the family, and there can be marital strain. There can be divorce. Then there are sources in the community and the society. The sources can be your jobs and stress, your environmental stress, which, as I said earlier, that the stressors which are there. Some job can be. Now, given the situation that we know a little about stress, how do we cope with stress? What do we do actually? What is coping? No? Coping is a process. And in this process, people, they try to manage the perceived discrepancy between the demands and resources as they appraise in a stressful. So it is managing, it is somehow adapting, it is the way you deal with the situation. There are various ways in you deal with the situation. Coping, it has two kinds of functions. One is your problem focused coping, and the other is your emotion focused coping. In problem focused coping, you reduce the demands of the situation, and in emotion focused coping, you aim at controlling the emotional response, the kind of emotional response which you have to the situation. You do want to freeze that. So now, what which some of the methods of coping with stressful situations which you people may have already used? First can be your avoidance. You just avoid. You say, I'm not there. I don't want to be in the situation. Just you move away from it. Then you sort of seek support. You ask for help. You ask somebody to help you. Or you deny. There can be denial. Or you confront the person. You say, today I'm going to confront the person. And this is direct action. Then there can be some venting of emotions. You don't want your emotions to be bottled up. You want to deal with them. And maybe you distract. You just distract yourself from the situation. You think of other things. You divert your attention. Then or you can hide your feelings. You can indulge in some kind of humor. You can do some other activity. You get yourself so much involved in other activities that this does not bother you, and you keep on talking. Then you want to find out information. You want to seek information, and that information will help you to deal. So there can be various methods. Like I said, you can avoid, you can seek support, you can confront, you can deny, you can engage in direct action, you can distract yourself. There's an emotional, you can worry. Then you can just pray. You can have some planful problem solving. What you can do is, you can just, criticize. You find some meaning in it. You say, okay, it may be for my good. And then there is design acceptance. What has to happen, has to happen. So you cannot control it. You say that there is resigned acceptance. I would like to ask you people, students in particular, think of a situation and the way in which you cope with it. Just give me an example that there was a stressful situation which you found was stressful and you came out of the situation, or you coped with it. Just an example. Anyone can tell me. Or even if you don't want to share the example, you can just share the ways when you cope when you're in a situation of stress. You can just tell me that. Anyone? Tell me. How do you manage stress? All of us, we learn how to manage stress, isn't it? There are various ways. Some ways they are more easy for us. Some there are others which are easy for the other person. Tell me the way in which you cope and which is your way of dealing with the situation. You say that this is how I deal with the situation.
Hi, ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello. Good evening, ma'am.
Yes. Hello. Good evening. Tell me.
Ma'am, I just accept the things that come in a way that creates problems and move forward.
So that is resigned acceptance. I said no, that there's a way of resigned acceptance. You say that, okay, what is there. It has to happen. And it is there. So I'm going to just accept the way the things are. That is one way. Good. And there's one way of coping. And it may be, I'm not saying that whether it is adaptive or maladaptive, I'm not commenting on that. But I just want to know the ways in which you people cope with the situation. It is not new that something which I'm telling you, there have always been ways in which you have coped. So I just want to list those ways in which you cope with the situations. Anybody else? Anyone? Tell me. Anyone else? If there is a problem, if there's a crisis, what do you do? How do you get out of that crisis? It can be emotional, it can be cognitive, it can be social, it can be financial, any crisis. How do you get out of it? What do you do? Tell me. Tell me.
कौन है ये? Who's playing all these songs and all? ये बातें आवाज आ रही है?
There's a lot of disturbance in There's a lot of disturbance in between.
Abhinandan, please mute your mic.
There's a lot of disturbance. I'm just interested in ways in which people cope, actually. I'm interested in your ways of coping.
Ma'am, ma'am, I talked to my parents.
Okay. So it's talking, you just talk it over. That is also one way of coping. You just talk it over, isn't it? You say that I want to talk about it, and there's certain things. Tell me what I should do. You go up to them, you talk to them. Okay. So one is that somebody says that I just accept things as they are. Another one says that I talk about it. So when I talk about it, I feel relaxed. I get a solution. I'm able to move. What else? What
Ma'am,
else?
sometime I move it to the forward time to make. I will do it later, not at
So
present.
you postpone it. You
Uh,
postpone it.
uh,
Like
pos-
is it some kind of a procrastination that you put something what can be done today, you put it for tomorrow? Is it some kind of a
no, ma'am.
procrastination? No.
I like
Is
to.
there-
I would think that I would plan, make a plan out of it, or I will make a detailed plan out of it. So I will
Okay. So
make a
so
time slot for it.
actually procrastination or postponing things, it can be positive also, because sometimes we do it in a positive manner. We want things to do, we are a perfectionist, or we want to do things in a way that it is the best way. So for that, if we are not prepared today, say that okay, today I'm not prepared, I'm going to do it tomorrow, or day after. So that can also be a strategy of talking about or of postponing it. Yeah. Anybody else?
Ma'am,
Yes.
when stress comes, I think that this situation I have to be faced. I can't change this situation, but further I think that how can I manage my this in that particular situation?
So that's what I want to know exactly. What do you do then? That is what I've told, that either you change yourself or the situation will change you. But what do you do? This is what I want to know.
It
Exactly
depends
what
on
do you
the
do?
stress.
Exactly
It
what is it
depends on
that
the
you want to
stress.
do? Hmm? So that is what I want to know, that what is it that you do?
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, ma'am, first of all, I focus on what learnings I can learn from this mistake or whatever loss I have done, what I can learn from this so that I can avoid this in near future. And then
Okay.
second, I
So
focus on,
okay. So you
and
say
then
that whatever learnings you have, based on those learnings, you make your plans that okay, this will not be repeated. This is how I want to get rid of it, isn't it?
yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh. Yes. What else?
And,
Good. Good. There are various strategies, see, which are coming up. There are various
Excuse
ways.
me, ma'am.
What else?
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, ma'am. I try to step out of the situation, maybe for a walk, so I get a clearer perspective.
Okay. So you just want to, as I said, that you want to distract yourself from that situation, or you distance yourself from that situation, and you move into a new situation. And then from there, you want to, get out of it and then see things in a newer light. This is what you do, isn't it? You
Yes, ma'am,
enhance
absolutely.
you enhance your control over yourself. You improve it. Okay. What else? What else? Does any one of you seek social support? Do you talk with friends, or you just discuss the situation with them, or you feel that no, I'm going to deal myself with, I don't want to share it with anyone? Do you do some kind of sharing? Or maybe any one of you, do you write down your diary or your experiences? Do you write it down, or you have a chalk, and then you have this chalk and the talk cure, you just write, or maybe you use a pen and you just talk to yourself, make notes? Does anyone do that? Does anyone deal with it? Does anyone do that? Then how many of you practice yoga or meditation? Anyone practicing yoga, meditation, any kind of physical exercise, mental exercise? because meditation and yoga, they are also very good ways, of dealing with it and for coping with the situation. You can reduce that for stress management. These methods, they're also very good. And then we have this maybe if there's time when we can meet physically, then there is this relaxation, progressive muscular relaxation that really helps you to relax yourself. And then you can have your own lists of do's and don'ts. You prepare you can organize your world better. You can, sometimes people, they have to go for medication to deal with the situation. Sometimes people, they manage their emotions. Sometimes people, they go for yoga, they go for exercise, physical exercise. Sometimes people, they go for a movie, they go out. So there are various ways in which we learn how to cope with the situation. It is not that there's just one situation. First is that one has to understand, what is the intensity of the stressor. If the stressor is very intense, then say for example it is physical, somebody has physical illness is there, then medication is there. Yoga and meditation may help you to relax, but the medicine has to be there. You cannot do without the medication. So similarly, there is some psychological stress. If somebody is distressed and somebody, you need to take the person to for some counseling. You need to take the person to a psychologist. And if the psychologist feels, then the psychologist will put that person in touch with a psychiatrist, and maybe some kind of medicines they are prescribed. And over a period of time, the person may be fully recovered and may not even experience those symptoms. But there are certain warning signs. There are certain, symptoms which are there, and we need to take cognizance of those particulars. We need to understand our emotions. We need to understand our emotions. As you said that anger, you've been told about anger management. Anger is it's a negative emotion, but it's a very strong emotion. So is joy, so is happiness. They are your primary emotions. What makes you happy? You need to understand what is it that gives you immense happiness. It can be a good food, it can be a good movie, it can be good company, it can be a stroll, it can be a walk. So you need to understand what is it that makes you happy. You need to identify those things. Once you identify whether it is a negative situation or a positive, so you want to increase the positive situation, you want to decrease the negative situation. So see what makes you happy. If you realize that, then life moves on very smoothly. If we know what makes, if we are very clear about ourselves, if we know our goals, what is your goal? How do you set your goals? If, for example, your level is B, then don't set a goal which is of level A. First, achieve the level B. I have seen students, and when they come, they all want to write the IAS examination. Then whatever attempts, number of attempts, 4, 5, 6, 8, they waste those years. They are not successful. Then they start writing the Group B services, PCS. Then within PCS, the Group B services. Then they come down further down. They want to write their SSC examination. So why not begin with the lowest? If you reach the top, you must have begun with the bottom. You cannot just fly and reach the top. If you climb steps or staircase, there'll be a step at the lowest level end. And once you have crossed that, then that there's the next hurdle, then the next, then the next. So what are our needs? Actualization and bliss, it comes later. First, if I'm hungry at the moment, my physiological needs, my sleep, my food, my drink, thirst, if they're not met, I cannot move on to other needs. I cannot socialize with anyone. I cannot say that, okay, socially I'm going to be very active. First, my needs, these are my safety needs, these are my primary needs. So similarly, whatever you think that you have, if there is a small stressor, you need to get a small stressor. Once small stressor is over, then you move on to the next. So you need to identify what is it that gives. Sometimes we have allergy to food, so we try to understand what is that food, which food gives us the maximum, if I eat that food, I get maximum allergy. So I try to identify, and then you want to abstain from there. So similarly, in this stressful situation, you need to identify what is it that makes you stressful. Why do I become stressful? Why has it happened? When you will come from home and you will come to the institution, you will be provided all kind of support. But still, you will, if you have not never moved out of your house, and this is the first time that you will be moving out, so some that homesickness would be there, and that homesickness, you have to train yourself to get over the homesickness. There has to be times. Sometimes your parents, they will be worried, they'll call you up, but you will not be in a position to take their call because you are doing something important. But it is your responsibility to call them back, because otherwise they will be stressed, they will not know what is it. And then have a confidant, have somebody to, you can lend your shoulder to you. You should always talk about things, discuss things. Discussion is the best way to find solution. Don't keep things to yourself. Life is stressful, and with studies, with competition, the kind of stressors which we'll face will be enormous. But we have to learn to cope with the stresses. How do I cope with the stress? It's not that we are the only ones who are going to face stress. It will be with everybody. So if it is with everyone, then why not be prepared for that stress? We should be prepared for it. How do we deal with it? That is important. So those things, they are very, very important. And some kind of stress is good. If there's no stress, then I'll tell you that you all will become very lazy. You will not want to do things. You will say, okay, I will manage the way I am. Now, all of you, if you just close your eyes for 2 minutes, just close your eyes. 2 minutes. Are you closing your eyes? I'll just do a small exercise with you. Have you closed your eyes? All of you. I need to have some response. Have you closed your
Yes,
eyes?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. So you have closed your eyes, and now you think that there is a red rose which is in front of you. A beautiful red rose is in front of you. Okay. That red rose is at a distance of 2 meters from you. You see that red rose and you want that red rose. Slowly, that red rose is proceeding towards you. Oh, it's coming gradually towards you. And soon you find that you can hold on to that red rose. Now, imagine that you have just visualized that the thing which was 2 meters away from you is now within reach, and you have held the rose in your hand. Now the rose is playing with you. It comes and it taps on your eyelids. First the left eyelid, then the right eyelid. It comes and it plays with your cheeks, the left cheek and the right cheek. It comes and it whistles something into your ears. It caresses your forehead. It is there, it touches your nose, your lips. It's playing with you. And you are counting the petals. The petals are there, which is in the rose. There are no thorns. The rose has left the thorn. It's just at you. Now the rose wants to go back. The rose came to provide solace to you, to help you, and then give you some good moments. Now you just be in this feeling for 2 minutes. Just see that the rose is with you and imagine that the rose is playing with you and it is caressing you and it is just close to you, it's playing with you, whistling, you're also doing, and it's your friend, you can say, your confidant. Just be in this moment for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, get back to you. Okay. Now, slowly, what you do, you rub your hands, your palms against each other, and slowly and gradually, you bring your warm palms to your face, touch your forehead, touch your eyes, touch your cheeks. Slowly and gradually open your eyes. Slowly and gradually open your eyes. Rub your palms, have some energy, some warmth in them. Then put your palms against your forehead, your eyes, your cheeks. Slowly and gradually open your eyes. When you have done that, let me know. Have you all opened your eyes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, share with me your feelings. What did you feel at that moment? What was your experience? What were your feelings? Tell me. Tell me. Who would like to share his or her feelings? Anything which you like to share after this little exercise, a very small exercise. Anyone who wants to share? I'm waiting for your responses. Do share. Are you still in that phenomenon, or have you got out of that experience, or you're still reliving that experience? Just tell me about your experiences, your feelings. Anyone?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, for a moment there was a sense of calmness in me. Moreover, I forgot the stress which I was having for a few moments, which revived back after I just opened my eyes. Then it revived back to me.
Okay, all right. Okay, good. What else? Who else? Who else? Any feeling which you had, or no feeling, or maybe a different kind of feeling, or anything which you want to share, some moment of pleasure, some moment of, that you were lost to the world, anything which you felt. How many of you liked this particular little experience which we, gained? How many of would you like to practice this? Did it have any positive impact, even if it is momentary? Was the impact positive, even though it was
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
even
ma'am.
though it was for a fleeting moment? Would you like to do that? Whenever you are in a stressful situation, see, most of the exercises online, it's very difficult, to do exercises otherwise. But whenever, like somebody said, that for that moment, that person just left the stressors behind, and then again when you open your eyes, you got back to the same old rut. But it did act as a pointer. It did help you to see that there is a possibility to overcome stress, isn't it? We can devise our own ways of managing stress, our own ways of looking at stress, but we know that there it can be done, isn't it? Don't you think so, you people?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't you think so? So I just want to drive home this point that stress, whatever the stress is, if it is manageable, we should try to manage on our own. If we cannot manage, we should seek some help. And going to a psychologist is not bad. It is not like part of it, we have a physician, doctor to whom we go. Anything which bothers somebody, you can always consult a psychologist, maybe talk with your friends. Your parents can be your counselors, your friends can be your counselors, somebody who works for you can be your counselor. So you just go and talk. Don't keep your emotions bottled up. You need to vent your emotions. And those emotions, you need to vent them. It is our duty to maintain harmonious relationship. It is our duty to be in a state of equilibrium, homeostasis. So we don't have to be agitated. If we are hostile all the time, if we harbor feelings of negative affectivity, if we are a negative person, we should learn gradually how to become a positive person and try to win the battle of stress ourselves. There's no one who can teach us how to win the battle. They can show you the light, but first we have to come forward and say that I need help. This is what I want to do, and I'm stuck. So please help me. And if solution will be there, you will definitely get a solution. You will also find the solution yourself. But you have to see that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. This is what I want to say. And I would like to conclude by saying that be optimistic, be prepared when you get the opportunity to be here, then utilize the best of your time. Be there. I'm always there. If you have any problems, I'm always there to help you. Now I am open to from my part, it's over. Now I'm open to questions. Any questions from your side? Anyone who has any question under the sky, you can ask. I have concluded my bit. You people are now open, and I'm open to questions. Nobody? There's deep silence. No one wants to ask anything? People, they're already leaving the meeting. Anyone who wants to ask anything?
Ma'am, hello.
Yes, I can hear
Uh,
you. Aman?
Ma'am, how can we shift from being an introvert to being an extrovert?
If you first you have to know who's an introvert and who's an extrovert, isn't it? What is the fine line? Who is an introvert? If you see how many friends you have, what do you do? Do you want to be a backbencher? First, try to identify what is it that makes you a introvert. But I'm not saying that you are an introvert, but what is it? Then gradually we need to get out of our shell. You can't do it in one day. Slowly and gradually, we need to get out from the shell and see and mix with people and see what can be done. Maybe if you don't want to go to a movie, but for the sake of friends, just go and accompany them to a movie. And when you accompany them, then you will see that, okay, today I did not enjoy, but maybe next time I'll enjoy. So slowly and gradually, if you're there for 2 minutes, then from 2 you can increase that to 5 minutes, then from 5 to 10. So slowly and gradually we can carve that path for ourselves. That how. And nobody can be purely introvert or extrovert. There can be real introverts and extroverts, but sometimes situation also makes us an introvert or an extrovert. Depends on what. Suppose you're in a teaching profession and you don't want to speak much, but can you do without that? I'm a teacher. I don't want to speak much. And initially I was hesitant to speak when I joined the teaching profession. But do you think that I could have survived? I couldn't have, no? So I had to change. I realized myself that I have to change. Only if I change will I move ahead. So there can be various ways in which one can a little bit of more of socializing, being more interactive, asking questions like you're asking when you're asking question for that matter. So an introvert will never ask questions. An introvert will totally be to oneself. Will say, well, what is given is given. I'm not going to ask questions. But an extrovert will definitely. So you need to balance the two. It is not very bad to be an introvert all the time. It is not good to be an extrovert all the time. So you need to strike a fine balance between the two. Nothing is bad or good. It's not that you are bad or good. It's just a personality trait. And that personality trait, if it is a trait, it may be, it is difficult to change. If it is situational, it changes. So it depends what it is. But somebody should be there. Should be there. Somebody with whom you can confide, you can talk, and then discuss your problems. If anybody has any problems, even solutions, and be there. Anyone else? Anyone else? No one? Okay, then let me ask you people some questions. How did you like this particular session? What are your learnings from this session? Did you understand what I was trying to drive home? Did you understand the concepts? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
What is your, if I ask you for your feedback, what is your feedback of the session? Because that also helps me to improve, to learn, to move ahead.
Ma'am, the session was quite interactive.
That is, of course,
With,
there.
with we being us told about the stress management, totally, how to manage our stress quite effectively in our day-to-day life.
Session. Or was it just Thursday? Did you people enjoy the session?
Yes, ma'am.
If there are 100 students, I don't think so 100 students have joined the meeting. I don't think so. Isn't it? I don't think so 100 students are there in the meeting. So what are your suggestions for future sessions? What would you suggest for future sessions? Anything? Any suggestions?
Can we talk about anxiety management?
Anxiety management. Okay. What is anxiety? What is anxiety? What makes you anxious? First, you need to identify what makes you anxious. As I said, what makes you tense? What makes you angry? What makes you happy? So you need to identify first what it is, and then manage your anxiety. First, we need to identify the sources of anxiety. What kind of anxiety? Is it a latent anxiety? Is it a manifest anxiety? Because anxiety, there are also of two kinds. It can be a latent anxiety, it can be manifest anxiety. Something which is within you and something which is outside. So then you can say then an anxiety can be in various fields, in terms of your career, in terms of your social anxiety, in terms of personal anxiety, in terms of job anxiety, family anxiety. There are various domains of anxiety. And then we need to, there are certain scales which we administer and we try to find out the kind of anxiety which the person has and what can be done to overcome that particular anxiety. Okay. So there can be a separate session on that. You can ask your organizers for the separate section on anxiety management. Anxiety and anxiety management, isn't it? You can ask your organizers. What else?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
Ma'am, how can we refrain ourselves from thinking too much what others are thinking about us?
How can you restrain yourself?
Refrain ourselves.
Restrain yourself.
Refrain.
Restrain. I know, restrain yourself. Huh? I can understand what you're saying. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if you think that is an obsession, you are obsessed that others are thinking about you. How do you know that others are thinking? It is only in your thoughts that you think that others are thinking about, isn't it? Have you ever tried to find out what others are thinking? Are they thinking about you? Because we are so full of ourselves that we think that I am only being discussed. You think that so this if there's an obsession with it, we need to overcome and we need to find out. Is it so? Am I being the person who's being talked about? Am I the person who is there in the heads of others? Do people discuss about me? Do they think about me all the time? So those questions first you need to answer. Why do I make this assessment that people are talking about? Why? What makes me think so? That way you then restrain yourself. Then you'll be in a position to restrain yourself. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
If there are no more questions, then I can conclude the session. And thank you to the organizers for giving me this opportunity of interacting with this bright batch of students. And I hope we'll have more physical interactions, like not online interactions. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.